The League of the Genuine is back. This is the very last show of 2021 where we are featuring Guest of the Month. Guest of the Month is a break from our usual programming where we have a person joining us on set to continue our conversations with the subject of counterfeits. We are out of town, about 5-6 kilometers out of town, in a place called Ketfalao Zone. This is right in the heart of Kawempe. We came to Kawempe to fish out our friend, a prominent, outspoken person who we gathered had something interesting to be saying as we close 2021 into 2022. Please join me in welcoming our guest of the month, Pastor Mr. Solomon Malay. Is that the right?
Moses Solomon Malay.
Moses.
3 names.
But Solomon was also great. King Solomon.
He's the wisest man that has ever lived and ever will remain.
The wisest man.
The
and
wisest
then the Moses
man.
bit.
Oh, the greatest prophet that has ever lived and ever will remain.
So you are great and wise, all combined into Malay.
Well, it depends on how you look at it, but I feel and I believe that God enabled me to acquire those names for a purpose. And whenever I live, I feel the inspiration, I feel the challenge, I feel the obligation to live up to those names. Moses delivered the children of Israel from bondage against their will. They resisted him. He stood firm with all boldness. I've done a lot exhibiting boldness.
You have delivered the children of Uganda and Africa.
I've delivered.
For you are a Moses who doesn't deliver?
No. I've led the crusade against homosexuality in this country. 2, and I think I stand out even in the whole world. Many whites have come in here. Why do I take the stand I take when others have compromised? You see the recent death of Archbishop Desmond Tutu. He compromised. He's pro-homosexual. You see European and American Protestant church movement, Anglican church movement, pro-homosexuals. Then you see the Catholic Church, the Pope at some time doing this. You see the road going on. There are many Pentecostals out there, even in this country, Pastor Kayanja, Pastor Chitaka, and many others involved in homosexuality. But then I still stand and say
about what
no.
You're saying? You just made a statement now.
I think you came to meet a sober man, a man who doesn't mince his words, a man who will always stand for what he believes. I handled victims of Pastor Kayanja. It is the state that protected him. Kaihura was heading the police. Ochom was part of it. Grace Akula was part of it. It was a collision that killed the cases and then turned on us. And believe me,
there is a
after condemning us and convicting us on the 3rd of October 2012, I stood out and I said no more dealings with police and state. I took the campaign on my own. That's when I exposed Chris Muwema, the footballer. Then I went on to expose others. Then police invited me back. Can I help them to pin Muwema? And I brought the victims, took Muwema to court. He was convicted, sentenced to 10 years in jail. Well, as the system is, he was freed on appeal. But we met in Wise and he told me, Pastor Malay, I want to thank you for saving me from homosexuality.
Oh, he met you and thanked you?
Chris Muwema. And I asked him, how did you get involved? He told me his father was a very wealthy man. He would take him to the UK to watch English soccer. He goes on a Friday, comes back on Sunday aboard the British Airways. Then he told me that on one of those trips, the man who was supposed to take care of him sodomized him. He got embittered, came back very bitter, and he decided doing it vengefully. He told me he sodomized very many. Then he told me, but the boy you brought to court, I don't remember sodomizing him, but he came to my home with a friend of his. I don't remember. So then I told him, you see, sometimes if you have so many women, you can even forget some and approach them again. He said, probably, I cannot deny that. Probably I did, but thank you. He told me that very many people out there are involved
in the act.
And he told me, people don't know how valuable you are to this country. I value you, I treasure you. Because
despite getting him locked up, he is a changed man.
He's a changed man, he told me.
So, but don't you think that you tread on ground which makes you controversial? Are you controversial or outspoken?
I don't mind about
being
that.
A religious man.
Let me tell you, the greatest, my mentor, Jesus Christ. If you're talking about controversy, I think he's the most controversial character that has ever lived.
Jesus is the way.
He divided
the life.
He divided up the Jews, one on his side, the other on the opposite, and it's the opposite that crucified him. Whenever he would make a statement, people would get divided. Let me tell you, if Jesus came back today, do you think these people earning money out of his name would survive? When he went to the temple, what did he do? Did he pray? He got a whip, chiboko, pa, 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 pa. It is written, my father's house shall be called a house of prayer, but you've turned it into a den of thieves. You would have expected him to pray. He got a fimbo, he got a chiboko, he got a whip, and he whipped them. Who's more controversial?
Are you saying we have
me or Jesus?
We have a house of prayer is turning into a den of thieves. Are we having that situation
if
back?
Jesus came back today, I'm telling you, he would whip them all out. Probably if that time he got a whip, probably today he may
get a machine gun.
Machine gun would be too little. He would probably get a mortar and blow it up, or a missile, blow it up, crush it all. And
are you saying, Pastor, are you saying the state of Christianity? Because you see, this show is about fakeness, counterfeit. And unfortunately, we have seen a lot of counterfeiting and fakeness, even within the Christianity itself. The people at the top, the people in the middle, the people below. What is the state of faking in Christianity?
Let me tell you this.
Or is it there?
When Jesus came, his message was repent. Today's message in many of the pews, bring the money, I pray for you, miracle, 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 miracle. When Jesus came, he taught humility.
Jesus didn't ask for money.
What is in the pew today? You see the men moving with armed soldiers, moving with able-bodied kanyamas, guns. You see a pastor, you see a prophet. Even when he's on the pulpit, there's someone standing there, and they're doing like this as if they are watching over a president who's about to be shot. We have criminals in the pews.
But what's wrong with that? What's wrong with a pastor, a bishop, a prophet, having people who love him and want to guard him? What's wrong with that?
Then where is God? You're talking about the able God, the almighty God, the powerful God, and then you need men
to protect you.
To protect you. I'll never believe in that dead God. I can't believe in that
because God helps those who help themselves.
No. Here I am. Did you find any God here? Did you find anyone stopping you from accessing me? Yet there are so many people say they'll kill you. Even this Rumbiya said, I'm on the target of those to be killed. I don't fear that. If you're a man of God, you don't have to fear. God is able. If he cannot protect me, then he's not God.
So which God are those people serving? Those ones who are bodyguards? Is there another God?
They are serving Mammon.
Mammon is a God?
Money. You see, people talk about Jesus. There is Jesus the Christ who died for us on the cross. He paid for everything. That if you want to get anything from him, you don't need to pay. Like these criminals are teaching people, come bring money, bring 100,000. If you want a visa, 1 million.
Who
if you
are
want
criminals?
to marry, sow a seed.
These people,
The men and women in the pews are criminals.
all
Actually,
of them.
Let me tell you. If I had the power to look for thieves, for thugs, for fraudsters, for criminals, I would not waste time going on the streets. You get petty people who are stealing out of dire need. I would get to the pews. There I would get the mafias, the organized criminals, protected by the state, protected by state machinery. They are able to use their influence to even kill those who can come up against them.
Pastor Male, somebody looking at you speaking
Kakande paid a policeman called Walimbwa to kill me. I say this on camera. Walimbwa,
Pastor Kakande.
Kakande Kubiri, Samuel Kakande and his wife Lois, they paid a policeman called
kill you for what?
Walimbwa.
What?
I was about to expose them. I was with them for 4 years. I made this statement when in State House. I told them, you investigate it. Walimbwa rose to, I think, to the rank of Commissioner of Police, and he once headed Kampala Metropolitan CID. He was once Kampala Metropolitan CID commander, I think, before he retired. You can look out for him.
But Pastor, if somebody threatens to kill you, that's an offense. Why didn't you report the case?
You report a criminal to another criminal?
Hey, so for you, everything.
You see, look at me. Listen to me. When we referred sodomy victims of Pastor Kayanja to police arrested the victims, compelled them to change statements, then turned on us, prosecuted us. We were convicted without being given due opportunity to defend ourselves. You know the injustices in the so-called temples of justice. It was money. The prosecutor, Asaba, who was then at Uganda Road, witnessed and he said, I cannot believe in this. Kayanja has got, I don't. Why? Every witness of his was coming to pin you. Would not come to court before being paid 5 million, so much. I'm talking this. Grace Akulo came and gave evidence against us, and the Council Kabanja asked her, Pastor Mala and his team also made statements. Did you ever bother to investigate what they were saying? She said, I did not do so because it was not necessary. How do you investigate one side and not investigate the other? This is criminality of the highest order.
You are painting a picture. Now, those who are viewing you and still have faith in Christianity.
Grace Akulo head CID.
Yes, but what I'm asking,
if I'm lying, later
and she's a Christian.
No
IGP
problem.
was a Christian.
She was a member of Miracle Center Cathedral, so she had the assignment of protecting her pastor. Even Judith Nabakoba was there. She's a minister. She was then the spokesman of police of police. She's the one I first told about Kayanja's sodomy victims.
So those who are looking for genuine religion, Christianity, to be specific, where should they turn? They come to you?
God has never been to church. God is a personal matter.
God has never been to church.
God is personal. He's not in the buildings. He's not with the men you think he's with. If you got money out of the pews today, no more church collections. Try that and see.
It seems you are envious of these successful pastors who are loved so much that people willingly give them money.
The thieves and thugs.
People are not put on gunpoint. People willingly.
You see, counsel, I want you to understand. When someone is desperate, when someone has pain, when someone has fear, when someone is confused or excited, that person's capability to think, to reason, to understand,
is diminished.
to see and feel, that is to have an own perspective, to remember, so as to take a rational or informed decision. That capability is impaired. Now, these are people targeted, they are desperate, they are looking for solutions. They come to them, they promise them heaven on earth, they take advantage of them, they defraud them, they extort them. I remember Frances Adroa. This was an HIV victim. She had just lost her husband. She hears an advert on Radio 1 of Universal Church of the Kingdom of God, that God, Jesus is the healer, that if you go to UCKG, Kampala, if you have a problem, even if you're sick, even if what, God can heal. She goes to UCKG. One day, she has just lost her husband. The bishop, the pastor, it was Pastor Nkai, sees her crying. The pastor sees her crying. And then she asks, what is the problem? She says, I lost my husband and I'm HIV positive. I tested. Said, no, God can heal you. Then they paraded a woman who testified that she was HIV positive and she had been prayed for and cured. And then they told her, then they launched what they called the Mount Sinai campaign. She had a car. She decided to sell it off so as to sow in the Mount Sinai campaign, to give what they call a sacrifice. Time neared for closure, and they told her, the pastor comes to her and tells her, Francis, you mean you're not going to sow? You're not going to sacrifice? He said, I want to sell off my car. Pray that I sell it off. Then he said, if you don't sell it off, it means you're not going to sacrifice. You don't want to be healed. When she goes home that day, she decides to give her car. She comes to church the following day with keys in an envelope. She hands them over. These thieves go to her home, drive the car to the church. They try to transfer it. In the meantime, Frances Adroa deteriorated. When she deteriorated, she was taken to Ginger, her uncle's place. And at her uncle's place, when she was on near death, she said, if only God, you can give me another opportunity to live, I'll go back and claim my car. Finally, she recovered. She came back, went to claim her car. They refused to give it to her. She went to police, reported CID. Instead of helping her, they went to UCKG, started extorting money. Then she had me on Radio 1. It was 2007, 17th of March. I was remembering the Kanungu Inferno. So she calls me and says, Pastor, I want to meet you. I gave her an appointment. Frances Adroa came to me. All sores on her legs, on her hands, on the face, HIV.
Very sick.
Very sick. The lips were red. And said, these are criminals. How do you rob a dying person? I told her to give me Bishop Costa's number. She did. I called Costa. Following day, I want to meet you. Why do you want to meet me? There's a lady called Frances. That woman, what is she telling you? Said, yeah, she sacrificed her car. She didn't. So I want us to meet and talk. Said, but that woman, you see, we prayed for her. It is her mistake that she didn't. She didn't have faith. And I said, Bishop, the onus of faith
you are
is
trying
not,
to help her get the car
yes,
back.
the onus of faith is not on the person being prayed for, but it is on that person claiming to have power to pray. Jesus said, if only you can have faith as little as a mustard seed, you can even command this mountain to move from here to there. He never said that if only you can have faith as little as a mustard seed, then when you are prayed for, you can be healed. I out-reasoned him. So we fixed an appointment. They refused to hand over the car. They had a lawyer called, is it Vazi? I've forgotten. She's a Muyindi. Finally, when I went to claim her car, she said, they told me she gave it to God, not to us. These are typical thieves. Look, then I went and met their lawyer. Said no, but our clients received the car. She even signed. Said, but it was out of duress that she gave the car. She was promised healing, which she wanted seriously,
And which she didn't get.
which she didn't get. So actually, you tricked her into giving the car with the aim of defrauding her.
Pastor, as we close.
Finally, I think they realized I was going to expose them. I was going to marry Hilumbarara, so the lawyer called me, can you come please and we give you the car? I said, no, don't worry, I'll come back when I come back. So I came back, and on the 23rd of April 2007, I went and we went to one again. They
For the handover.
They brought their cameras. They never expected me to go with the media, but I went with the media full force. How they ran the story. I think it was Monitor ran the story. Woman accuses church of extortion. So they threatened to sue me. I said, you sue. We'll tussle it out in court. Then they eventually sued. It was High Court. Then I think they realized I was going to win them. And then they paid me. So they switched it to Mengo. Hawoship Unkore handled it. Eventually, the case dragged from 2.8, I think, to around 2.10. We won the case, but we were never given damages or even awards. We were never.
So that's how it ended. But this thing
I recovered the car for her. She sold it and treated
this
herself.
thing you're talking about, or false prophets, or doomsayers, or you call
Let me tell you
it's
this.
not a new thing.
Let me tell you.
It has a biblical
Listen
context.
to this. 2017, I went to Nakalama, where Kakande was ferrying people who are going to pretend to be the night dancers, the cannibals. You remember that cannibals? They were never there. He was paying them. At first he was paying them 1 million, then he reduced it to 500,000, then it lowered to 100,000 because they were many. And who was recruiting those so-called cannibals? It was a Muslim in Nakalama. I went with NTV and we exposed it. Have you ever heard of him claiming to heal the cannibals again? Let me tell you this. If you have sense, you'll know. We've gone through hard times of COVID. Everywhere, TV, radio, even newspapers, there were adverts and services of miracle healing.
Before COVID.
They were claiming to cure HIV, cure cancer, cure all incurables, cure everything.
Cure poverty.
Now COVID comes. All of the miracle workers disappeared.
No, they were in lockdown.
I can box you. You cannot keep
They have to do special.
No. These are thieves, these are manipulators, these are liars, these are fake, these are false. They are not genuine, they are not real, they are robbers in broad daylight, targeting the weak, the poor, the desperate.
We have to take a break. We need to hear more from Pastor Male about the miracles, whether we can still believe in miracles. There were miracles in the Bible. We would like to know whether present day miracles are not the miracles we've seen Jesus perform during his time. We need to take a break. We are back with the second segment of our Guest of the Month, part of the League of the Genuine Conversations. We are here in the home of Pastor Moses Solomon Malay. This gentleman is quite enterprising. He has 13 decimals here in his home, but on the northern side he has a hatchery. He hatches more than 1,000 birds every...
The hatchery has a capacity of 5,000 every week can be hatched.
So 15,000, he hatches 15,000.
But we have a second one that side, which has a capacity of also 15,000.
The point I want to make here
week we can hatch
is that most of us who live in the
eggs.
city, you have 1 acre, half an acre, and the most you will do is put flowers and so on. This gentleman here, not only is he a pastor, but he's a farmer, he's a businessman. We shall be talking about what he does outside ministry, outside the church. We broke off, Pastor, at a point where you are talking about fake miracles. But I see there is he just passed on recently.
Staged
Miracles.
People are paid to pretend.
There is a televangelist, he passed on recently, a Nigerian called Prophet TB Joshua.
A fraudster.
You can't say that.
I can say
You don't
with
know the man.
authority.
You don't even...
Look, the world has become a village. I don't need to be in Nigeria to know what TB Joshua is doing. I even had
Did he
people
take your money?
complaining about him. He doesn't need to take my money to be a fraudster. You're a lawyer. Don't you take on cases where your clients have been defrauded? Do you need to be defrauded?
No.
You see, if you're conscious about...
So you
each
have
other's
evidence
experience-
about TB Joshua? May he so rest in peace.
One of his clients proved to be President Chiluba of Zambia.
Former president.
Former president. I think he died.
Yes.
He went to Nigeria. He wanted his presidency extended. So, TB Joshua prayed for him. He even gave a lot of money. TB Joshua goes to Nigeria confident because the man had prophesied he was going to be re-elected. So he goes and tampers with the constitution.
President
Chiluba. He starts tampering with the constitution. He was defeated. He could not tamper with it. They threw him out. His end was he was also arrested and prosecuted
for corruption.
For corruption. He suffered. This is one of TB Joshua's greatest client. Kakande is another client of TB Joshua. That's why he renamed his fraud house.
So are you telling Christians not to believe in miracles anymore? Because for you it seems you have not seen any miracle in your life.
What is a miracle? A miracle is a happening that is beyond human understanding. Science cannot explain it. Human wisdom cannot explain it. It has happened and happened. When Moses parted the Red Sea waters, that was a miracle. The waters parted. You could not explain. No one can explain how waters can part. And then
some people think it can be explained scientifically, that it happens once in a, I don't know.
Let them explain it. Why hasn't it happened again since that time? Jesus died and rose. It is not disputable. What are these miracles? I've told you Kakande was paying people to pretend. There is another case. Pastor Kayanja claims that he was healing a man who was born with a serpent. He had paid this man called Salongo. I forgot the other name. The story featured on these fraudsters are shameless. The story featured on his TV, Channel 44. I even have a copy of it. Kayanja said the man was born with a python. When he told the man to give his testimony, the man said, I want to thank God for the power of Miracle Center, this Pastor Kayanja. I have 2 wives. I've been a deputy imam of our mosque. Now, I've produced 5 sets of twins. My first wife produced 3 sets. My second wife, among the set, on one of the sets, she produced a python. Kayanja said the man was born with a python. The man says it is him who produced a python. And then Kayanja handed him a car, a premium. And this man I'm giving him a premium. Live on TV.
The premium, the car was the miracle, or what was the miracle there?
The miracle claimed was Kayanja healing a man who was born with a python. But then the man said it is him who produced a python. And all this conversation was live. It featured live on TV. Now the question is, who was lying of the two? The miracle was never there. This was a staged man. Then the man said his mother was Hajati Nuru Mpungu. When Hajati Nuru Mpungu saw the video, she fainted. She has never produced that man. She hired a lawyer to prosecute the man. The case was taken to Buganda Road. They told him, no, if you want to sue the man, don't sue Pastor Kayanja. Then she took the case to Mengo. They took the case to Mengo. The man confessed that he needed money. It was fake. And he pleaded that Hajati Nuru Mpungu forgives him. The story featured on Ubukede.
It was everywhere.
It was everywhere.
Pastor Male, can I challenge you to a debate with the Pastor Kakade, Pastor Kayanja will call you and we... because it seems you can talk when they are not there.
Bring all of them. Bring all of them. One day, it was 2009. Monitor scheduled me for a debate with Kayanja. Kayanja went with I can call it a brigade. The advanced team were armed men. They stormed the Monitor. Then the host told me, Pastor, I'm sorry, we've had to cancel. Pastor Kayanja has sent an advanced team. It's soldiers everywhere. They've disarmed our own guards here. So it's dangerous for you. Then I said, no. What you do? Let me come in a car. Let me hire a car. I come in. I pass through that gate. Then when I'm inside there, you open. They say, oh, we don't want to risk with your life. Because then I'd already started exposing him as a sodomist. So you bring any. You got to bring them. But I'm telling you, they will not agree.
Okay, but now, because your whatever you're saying is too hot to handle, and the people they are genuine pastors.
Listen to me. It is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing.
Are there genuine pastors left that you know of in this country or in Africa?
I'm not there to cite them.
No, are there any who are doing good?
Of course, they are there who are humble, who are diligent, who are honest,
like
who are not extorting, who are not defrauding. And that is what I'm trying to encourage, that they rise up. Let them rise up. I don't need to mention them. Because if you decide to keep quiet at a time like this, then you're a coward, and cowards will never enter heaven. That's biblical. Let me tell you, if these people can perform miracles, Kakande is Kubiri. Near there is the Salvation Army, where there are many lame people hosted there.
Near his church?
Near his church. He has never healed any.
But he has rice. He made some, what was it called?
Rice. That is what we call religious merchandising, doing business under guise of religion. He's smart at that.
But Jesus also gave wine
he's a
and
religious
fish.
merchant. He never told them to pay. He gave them out of compassion. These people are hungry. We cannot let them go away without a meal. We've been preaching to them. What do we have? Fish. Bring them. Bread. Bring them. Out of compassion.
So what's wrong with a pastor
these
makes
men,
rice?
These men and
which
women lack compassion. Rice, you sell it 50,000. When a kilo of ordinary rice is 3,000 or 4,000, at most 6,000.
It was holy rice.
Who made it holy?
You tell me, how is rice made holy?
You see, if you are going to pamper these thieves to keep robbing the desperate, I cannot stand with that.
Then there was water also, only water here.
It's not there. These are just, you see, in the media, there's what we call a catchword. What sells? What can sell a paper? What heading can sell? So they hire, these men now, these criminals, they hire experts in the media, experts in publicity. How can we present this? These are fake.
Before we end this segment,
let me tell you, it's so sad that clerics today lack the moral authority to address the rot in this country. Because we are going to look for thieves, they are more in the pews. That's why even sometimes Museveni says, when he hears these religious people trying to come, he says, I'm going to baptize. When he threatens, they all keep quiet and shy away. When he says, don't attack me, I know you. You know, he has spectacles and he puts them like this. He puts them like this. Like this. Hey, you clerics, I know you. If you try to come there, you stay your side. I'll baptize. So the man has put the specs here. Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
Pastor, what is the relationship between religion and politics? Because sometimes the politicians stay, Christian religious people stay in your lane, don't come into politics. But I see you people, you go to State House, you have prayers, you have dinner.
I went there once. When I saw fraudsters flocking there, who were there, I never went back. They invited me again, I never went back. I was an invitee. I saw the sodomists there. I saw the fraudster there. Then I say, I cannot be part of this. You see, one of the greatest challenges we have is compromise. A Christian is not supposed to compromise. Stand even if you remain alone. Stand and be counted. I can't sit with thieves. I can't sit with sodomists. I can't. When I know what they're doing, they are robbing the poor, they are robbing the desperate, they are robbing the weak. They're not doing anything for them. The sick. I have countless examples which I can give.
So our religion is part of politics?
No, you see, the problem is this. When you read religious history and political history, whenever religion and state have fused, it's problems. When the papacy fused with the Roman Empire, the Dark Ages came. The churchmen were doing criminality with impunity. That's how even the mafia was born. Mafia was born in the church.
Mafia was born in the church?
In the church. Roman Catholic Church. In the Dark Ages. Now, when you see religiosity fusing with the state, religious men getting state patronage, state protection, state handouts, then you know there is a problem. And that's where we are. All over the world, you go and you'll see. So that has happened in Uganda too.
One of the things you are reputed for talking about, which is also controversial, is marriage, the notion of marriage, the Christian marriage. I don't know if Bujingo is your friend, Pastor Bujingo, but you know his issues and your views on polygamy, that it's okay. So would you advise Bujingo to stay with Makula and the first wife?
You see,
is that okay?
What I'm saying is not controversial. It is the fact.
What is the fact?
The fact is, biblically, there is no church marriage. Clerics are not supposed to ceremonize weddings.
There is no church marriage. So why do people celebrate?
Listen to me. From Genesis to Revelation, there is not even a single case of a priest solemnizing a marriage. What we see in the Old Testament are the rituals, like the Kiganda, the Basoga, the Banyankore, that part of the traditional ceremony. Customary. That is what is called marriage. Even long after Jesus came and went, there was nothing like solemnizing church marriage. Then came the Roman Empire. Rome or Italy was the high seat for sodomists, sexual perverts. They were sodomizing, yet they were controlling much of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Now, there came a question. We are not married, we are sodomizing. The people we are controlling are multiplying. A man has 3 wives, 10 wives, he can produce 10 children a year. What do we do? So they said, the easiest we can do is to decree that they should have 1 wife. Let us ban polygyny. There's a difference between polygyny and polygamy. You're talking about polygamy. I'm talking about polygyny. Polygamy can be a woman or a man having several partners. Polygyny, strictly, a man can have more than 1 wife. When you go to the book of Exodus, chapter 21, verse 10, it's clear, stipulated, that if you take on another wife, you shall not deny the first one these: 1, food, shelter, clothing, and conjugal rights. That is biblical. You can read it. I've given it out. People have read it. Even clergy have called me, Pastor, you are touching a very delicate issue, but that is the truth. What do we do? They know the truth, they fear to come out because they've long peddled monogamy.
A falsehood.
Now, I think it was 15 around 73. The Pope is directed to peddle monogamy. The Pope calls or convenes the Council of Trent. You can Google, you can search it and find out. At the Council of Trent, they had to redefine marriage. What qualifies a Christian marriage? Because formerly there was nothing like solemnization. So now they say, now to do so, let us make marriage a sacrament. Because formerly
a sacrament.
Formerly in the Catholic Church, because it was the universal church then at the time, they treasured celibacy. A man should not marry. A woman should not marry. If a man is not married, he is more pure and more holier and more accessible to God than the one who was married. Now they had to readjust to say, now to convince people about marriage, let us make it a sacrament that every Christian should take it. Now, how do you take it? You are registered. It was not even solemnizing, you are registered. When you are registered, it is once with 1 wife. And who registers it? It is a Catholic priest.
The church, basically.
The church. Now, in 1549, in England, Thomas Cranmer, who was the Archbishop of Canterbury then, had already come up with what is called the Act of Uniformity. You see, people were going to be registered. Now, how do we say? Then he came up with the vows. The vows are nowhere in the Bible. He came up with the vows. Now, in 17...
The vows that are said...
The vows are for better, for worse.
They are not in the Bible.
They were coined together by Archbishop Thomas Cranmer. This is history, church history. I'm not inventing anything of mine. I'm not bringing up something of mine. So now, Rome was controlling marriage, and in so doing, controlling the multiplication of the enemies of the Romans. Now, around 1753 comes, I think it was King Edward, says now, what we now need is to also, the state should also own the marriage. Like Rome controls marriage, even England should control marriage. They were still peddling monogamy. So now they came up with what they call the Clandestine Marriage Act. You can Google it, you'll find it out. You're a lawyer. It's called Clandestine Marriage Act. What did it come up with? To be called married, you must be registered. To be registered, bans must be publicized 3 times minimum. Now, secondly, after being registered, you are given a certificate. Now, England started owning or controlling
following
marriage.
the papacy.
Following the papacy. 1907, they come up with the Marriage Act. You know it. What is in the Marriage Act? Formerly, the parents had powers to say no to the affairs of their children. So now, that Marriage Act takes away the powers over marriage from the parents, gives them to the state. To the state. The state now is represented by the Register of Marriages. And then it establishes the office of the Register of Marriages. And then the Register of Marriages starts giving licenses to whoever solemnizes and the venue for solemnization. So now we move from biblical marriage to legal church marriage.
But Pastor,
the two are different.
Pastor, you have been a minister in the Pentecostal church, you've been a minister in the Anglican, you must have celebrated a lot of these marriages. So are you telling those that it was fake?
Let me tell you. You see, a fact is a fact. Reality is a reality. If we lied, it's time we tell the truth.
So those were fake marriages.
Why should we lie? Now, they were not fake. They were legal church marriage. So marriage moved from being biblical to legalistic. What we now see is legalistic marriages, which is controlled by laws, not by the Bible. The Bible is just used as a cover up, but what is beneath there is the law of the land. Biblical marriage does not condone divorce and remarriage. That is Matthew chapter 19.
The law. Legal marriage allows divorce.
Legal marriage allows divorce.
So Bujingo has right to divorce
legally under the law, and I say it in the camera, under the law. Counsel, you quote the law right. Under the law, Bujingo has broken no law to divorce and remarry.
But under
the law allows him. Under the biblical laws of marriage, biblical canons of marriage,
he has broken them.
He has broken every one of them. He's supposed to forgive. He's supposed to reconcile. No marriage is perfect. No person is perfect. My wife has hurt me. I've hurt her. Yours has hurt you. You've hurt her. If we are going to say we are free, you can divorce and remarry, that no marriage will remain. That's why the Bible, when Jesus was asked about marriage, he had just talked about forgiveness. In Matthew 18, how many times shall I forgive my brother? 77 times 7 times.
We need to take a break. Pastor Mare here thinks that divorcing is fake.
Biblically, you cannot divorce. Biblically, you can have another partner.
So instead of divorcing, have another partner.
Yes, you still maintain them. Legally, you can divorce. But legally, you cannot have another partner.
We need to take a
break now. So the two, the Bible and the laws are in conflict. As a Christian, where should I go?
When we return, we need to talk to Pastor Moses Solomon Malay, the farmer, the businessman, the entrepreneur, as we close with our last segment. Close with our last segment. Yeah, welcome to the last segment, the third segment of our guest of the month. This is the last show we have in 2021, and we have none other than Pastor Moses Solomon Malay. He's been giving us very interesting insight here. I think there's no better way of ending there. Pastor, we are closing the year. We have been in lockdown. We are hoping the economy will be open. I know that even if you are a minister at the pulpit, you're also a businessman. Viewers here, like I said, we have a hatchery on both sides. You can hear the birds humming in the background. He has a special breed of, you call them croiler?
Croilers. We sell the old chicks, we sell brooded.
Croilers are chicken from India.
It's a breed from India.
A hybrid.
Yeah, it's a hybrid from India.
Yes, so we are going to be asking Pastor about the challenges that you face in your poultry business in terms of the fakes, in terms of counterfeits. Tell us your experience.
Actually, how I wish every cleric had the moral authority to say what I say if they had not sold themselves. And how I wish every cleric had something to do so that we can all come up with one voice. Very many are simply waiting for people to work, then they bring the money and they con them. I'm a farmer, I'm a breeder, I'm a hatcher, I'm a feed miller, I'm the president of the Uganda of the Feed Dealers Association.
Feed Dealers Association?
Yes, they elected me president, interim president as we go through the formative stages.
So you are the people who put sand in the animal feeds?
I'm fighting them. I even launched a campaign with UNBS and Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries in 2011 against adulterations. There is a lot out there fighting the fake in the poultry industry, in the entire agriculture sector, in the entire economy. Drugs.
Let's first start with the food. Why do some people put sand in the animal feed for the chicken?
It is greed. The Bible says the love of money is the root cause of all evil. Greed.
Does the sand make the chicken stronger?
Insatiable greed.
Does the sand make the chicken stronger? And
No. This is adulterating feeds, degrading its quality, robbing the farmers, killing the birds, killing all profitability.
Does the sand kill the birds?
Yes, it does. What does sand do? It degrades. Years ago, farmers were tuned to the false teaching that if chicken eats sand, they grow better. So they believed it. There's what we call grit. These are like small stones. A chicken picks them when it wants to help in the digestive process. But if it can pick them, it's like a pregnant woman. When a woman is pregnant, many Baganda women want to eat clay. This, how do you call it? The boomba. They eat it. After producing, do they eat the clay again? They eat it in need of calcium. After producing, they stop eating it.
So you cannot get food for the woman who has given birth and you give her boomba.
You cannot
to eat for the whole year.
You cannot.
She would fall sick.
She would fall sick.
So that's what they are doing to the birds.
That's what they are doing to the birds. So they are giving them sand as food. We have ratios. A chicken needs protein, needs carbohydrates, energy. A chicken needs fat. A chicken needs fiber. And a chicken needs calcium and phosphorus, then amino acids. We use the available raw materials to come up with formulations for the feed. If you put in sand, you've adulterated. If you're putting sand in fish, you are now degrading the fish. You're not going to come up with a good formulas. If you put lime in maize bran, you are degrading the maize bran. If you put maize bran in soya and sell it as soya, you've degraded soya. Now, if you add water into feeds, then that means you're actually degrading the feed and you're creating a problem. What is the problem? When there is too much moisture in the feed, that feed attracts heat. When it overheats, it grows mold. Mold produces what we call aflatoxins. Aflatoxins are poisons.
They are cancer causing even.
When a chicken eats aflatoxins, it cannot digest it or even pass it out.
It goes into the meat.
It goes into the meat. And if you eat that chicken or the egg, you eat the aflatoxins. If you eat too much of them, you are likely to contract liver cancer. During my community service in Mulago, I worked with Mwana Mujimu. I used to pass by the Cancer Institute. You go there and see. You see children suffering from cancer of the stomach, cancer of the liver, cancer of the intestines. What is the cause? What we eat. And it is usually the children who eat the liver. And the liver is
of the chicken.
And it is the liver that extracts all the poisons from the body of the chicken.
All the dirt. It's like a septic tank.
It's like a septic tank.
So eating liver is actually exposing you to.
So that's why I come up to fight it. So adulteration degrades the feed. That means one is going to buy, say, chick mash, thinking it's chick mash, yet it's not the real chick mash. It has been degraded. It has become a counterfeit of the feed that you want.
But Pastor, you have been doing this business for some years. Has the situation been this bad, or it has just worsened?
Whoa. It was bad, it has worsened, because now people are doing it with impunity. Let me tell you, in every sector, whether it is agriculture, whether you're dealing with crops, whether it is livestock, you're dealing with animals, we are dealing with birds, we have a lot of fake drugs on market. And what have they caused? Or substandard drugs, what have they caused? They've caused resistance. We now have the challenge of what we call antibiotic resistance.
Resistance in the birds or the humans? Resistance
of drugs, both in the animals and in humans. Let me explain to you how it works. I think it was 2012-13. I was part of the team headed by Professor Sewan Kambo that did a study on what we call antibiotic resistance. What causes antibiotic resistance in humans and animals? One, you give a chicken or an animal a drug that looks like the drug it should use, but when it is a counterfeit, when it cannot serve the purpose. Say it's typhoid, and you give it, say, chlorphenico, or you give it, say, enroso, but which is not the actual, which is not the
active ingredients.
The active ingredients. Now, the bird will start on the medication, and then the disease will resist. When it resists, then you bring in more drugs. Many times farmers sell off these birds or animals when the drugs are in there. Then you,
the
consumer, eat the
take it
meat
for Christmas or New Year.
Yeah, you eat it with all the drugs in there,
and you enjoy the soup.
You enjoy the soup. You enjoy the taste. Now you remain with the how do you call it, the residues of the drug.
They go into the system.
Now they go into the system. Now when you say you get a malaria attack or a typhoid attack, once it comes, it finds in that drug and then builds resistance. Now you go for the examination. They find you have typhoid. They give you the drug that should treat you,
the proper dosage.
But when the disease has already built resistance against the drug, so you will not be treated by that drug. And that's why we now have a problem that in most cases, whether animal drugs or human drugs, One line drug is no longer sufficient. You have to use a combination of 2 or 3 drugs. That is the challenge we have. Can our farmers afford it? Can you afford it as a human being who's sick? You're going to be, they're going to prescribe 3 drugs for you because one cannot work for you. So that is the challenge that we now have. And that's why we have many people dying because the drugs cannot treat them. We have animals dying, birds are dying because the drugs we use cannot treat them. And that's why I'm so out to fight against all these counterfeits. Sadly, when you look at what we use, even in feeds, there are hormones now being brought into the country. Feeds with hormones. Hormones, yeah. Which are dangerous.
Animal hormones, human hormones.
Animal hormones, they're made in the West. They bring them in as concentrates, as pellets, and so on.
What do these hormones do?
They are genetically modified. When they are genetically modified, that means they are going to destabilize or disable or disorganize the normal growth of humans, whether it's children. That's why you see now, you can realize that a child who's 9 or 10 or 12 or 11 can go into menstruation.
They have breasts already.
So they grow so fast because they eat birds that grow so fast. They depend on hormones. So all this is happening. Sadly, what they ban in the West is what is dumped here. Many Ugandans go to these foreign countries like China. They collude with companies there. They say, can you please produce for me this drug? It is going to be this price. No, can you reduce? Okay. Can you eliminate this? Can you don't put in ABCD? So they
put it and mislabel. Put wrong labeling.
They put it but low quantities so that it doesn't serve the purpose. That's why we have ticks that are not dying. We have what we call disinfectants that do not work. You disinfect against viruses in the poultry house. When you put in the birds, then they fall sick from what you disinfected from. Then you wonder, did I disinfect? And that's why you see many farmers are relying on drugs to bring up their birds.
But Pastor, why do we have this situation in a country which is so religious? Every corner, as I was coming here, I could see mosque, church. We are so religious. How can people who are so religious commit such fraud and faking? Why? How do you sit in a country which is so religious and yet full of counterfeits?
You see, when the salt loses its taste, of what use is it anymore? That is what Jesus taught. That is what Jesus taught in Matthew chapter 5. When salt loses its saltness, we were supposed to be the light and salt of the earth.
Maybe we use sugar.
We were the first.
We now put more sugar.
Listen, we were the first to go astray. The pastor is the thief. The pastor is the sodomist. The priest is the thief.
So what will the flock do?
So confused. They are now like sheep without a shepherd. Each one does what he or she thinks is right in his own mind. And that's why we have people who are fed up with the religion. There are very many out there. It's like, let me make my money. After all, these are also making money. So there would be icons of morality have gone astray. They are no longer the icons of morality. That's why you see there are so many churches, so many mosques, so many
and they are full.
So many thieves.
Pastor, why are they
so
full?
Many thugs.
Why are the churches full if the message is wrong?
They are full of pretenders.
The flock or the priests?
Both. They are full of hypocrites. If you want to know this, you can go to Jeremiah chapter 8 verse 4. If someone falls, doesn't he get up? If someone loses the way, doesn't he get back? But why do you, my people, keep falling away in perpetual backsliding? You hold to deceit. A priest, a prophet prophesies falsely. It goes on to say that you heal the wound of my people lightly, telling them it's peace, peace, when there is no peace.
There is pretense.
There is pretense. They pray for peace in Nambole, they pray for peace in Kololo, they even call the president and they pray for peace. And then the president calls his witch doctors and he says, you people there, the cardinal is my friend, the archbishop is my friend, but when we were in the bush, we had this, the judges, they worked. You see the bishops, then at the end of the day, they walk away with the envelopes. There's hypocrisy everywhere.
Pastor, don't you think?
Have you ever heard of what we call the prayer breakfasts?
Yes, it's very popular.
They cannot pick on people like Marie to preach there.
Or you don't have breakfast.
No, I'm going to call the thieves. You are thieving, you are thieving, you are thieving, you are thieving. How can we say we are praying against the demon of corruption when the corrupt are seated there? You tell them, but you see, Sebo, you stole this money, return it. You stole this, return it.
You tell them at the prayer breakfast.
We need the Nathans today. Nathan went and stood before David and told him, there's a man in your kingdom. He is very wealthy. He had a neighbor who was poor. But then, sadly, when he got visitors, he slaughtered the poor man's sheep. And to cover up, he killed the man. And David, fuming, said, who is it? He must die. And then Nathan said, it is you, king. God gave you your master's wives. Saul, if you wanted more, he would have given you. But then you go out of the way, snatch Uriah's wife, impregnate her, and
kill the man.
There. You killed Uriah. So you must die.
He told him in his face.
In his face.
What happened?
We need the Nathans who can go to Museveni and speak in his face. We need the Nathans who can go to all of these, the Kayanjas, the what, all of these, the ministers, who can go to the Nasasiras, who can go to who? To all of these in government.
So why don't you become Nathan Male now?
I'm the Nathan to the clerics. When a clergy sodomizes, Kayanja. When a clergy steals, Universal Church, return the car. When a clergy fakes up miracles, Kakandi, these are not miracles. You pay them, I expose them. I'm the Nathan.
Pastor Nathan. We want to take...
Nathan. Listen to me. Actually, when you look at that, God did not reprimand David for having many wives. He reprimanded him
for killing,
for taking on another man's wife, contrary to the 10th commandment, thou shalt not covet another person's wife. Many women was not the problem. By the way, when it comes to polygyny, Moses had 3. He wrote for us the first 5 books of the Bible. Won't he go to heaven? Abraham, the father, the grandfather of all believers, had 2. Won't he go to heaven? Jacob, the only man on record who has ever wrestled God. God, bless me. Then when God was thrown down, he said, okay. You are no longer going to be called Jacob, you will be called Israel. He had 4 wives, 2 sisters, Rachel and Leah, and their maids. Won't he go to heaven? Solomon had 700 and 300 wives. 700 wives and 300 concubines. He wrote for us the book of Proverbs, which I quoted, the book of Ecclesiastes. He wrote for us the Song of Solomon. He had 700 wives, 300 concubines. Won't he go to heaven?
The way you're
then
speaking.
King David, who wrote for us most of the Psalms.
The way you're speaking,
8 plus.
It appears Uganda's problem is people have few wives. Is that the problem?
No, no,
Is
no, no.
is
No, no, no,
monogamy
no, no.
causing problems?
No. It is legalism in marriage, not obeying the biblical principles. Legalism.
So there is some fakeness there.
Wampasa, simpeta, hey, you married me. Hey, this is the certificate. We will toss out over property. Toja kungoba. So they become big. Legalism is the problem in marriage.
So
it has nothing
should we
to
go
do
back to the
biblical
teachings?
biblical principles? That's what I'm advocating for. Let us go back to biblical principles, and you'll see how marriage settles. The corruption, we've still gone away from the biblical principles. Love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Have compassion.
Compassion. The priests, the clerics have moved away from being the voices for the weak, the poor, the downtrodden, and they've now teamed up with the oppressors, and they've become the oppressors and thieves and criminals.
I read a book by a certain interesting lady called Karen Armstrong. She's Irish. The history of God. And she said the common denominator in all religions, Christianity, Judaism, Muslims, is compassion. Do unto others what you would like them to do to you.
Yes.
How true is this?
It is true. God is the same. God is one, and He's universal. He loves
So why
us
do we
all,
have Christians,
and
Muslims?
He commands us to love, and to love, to be sensitive.
You cannot love and be corrupt.
You cannot love and be corrupt.
You cannot love and do counterfeit.
Listen to me. You are the first in the cathedral, but then you steal HIV drugs. You are the first in the cathedral, but then when it comes to money for the poor,
You steal
for
it.
COVID, you steal it. We have people who have become stinking wealthy during COVID, but when people are dying, drugs are stolen, products are counterfeited.
We want to take
Listen, you are the one in URA, you are the one in Uganda National Bureau of Standards, you are the one at the airport, and you are allowing counterfeited products just because they've paid you, and you say, let them die.
We want to take the message against counterfeits to the pulpits, to the mosques. What do you think?
The greatest criminals are in the pews. You're going to find resistance. Believe me. They can talk in parables. Mulekerawo, stop stealing, but when in the depth, that message was not yours. Because the thief will be at the front. Why did you teach about corruption today? Hey, which thieves were you talking about? No, please sir, forgive us. The message was general. It wasn't for you, it was for others. Oh, what do you now want? We want iron sheets. When these thieves go to these cathedrals, to churches, the gospel is changed. They want to roof, they want to build, they want this, they want cars.
Pastor Solomon Moses Male, you are our last guest of the month for the year 2021. In other words, you are helping us to crown 2021. So you have this opportunity now to give your special New Year message for 2022 to our viewers.
Dear viewers, and to you, my brother, thanks for hosting me. This is my message. 2 years have been dragging and overstretching for all of the people in the world, not only you, many, including us.
Because of COVID.
I lost my father on June 19th. I lost my first sister on June 13th. We buried her on June 15th this year. We lost my second sister on June 17th, buried her June 18th. We lost my dad, Haji Mutumba, on June 19th and buried him on June 21st. I lost 3, my blood. I know how hurting the year has been. I know how many of you out there have fallen victims of COVID-19, either physically or through relatives. Personally, I contracted COVID-19 in 2020. God healed me. I want to thank God for that. I took medication and got cured. During these hard years of COVID, no miracle cure has taken place. All the prophets went underground. It was as though there was no prophet in the world, whether in America, whether in the West, whether in the East, whether here. People have been struggling. People have been fervently searching for God. People have lost lives. People have suffered. The economy has been hurt. Many of you have lost income generating opportunities. Many of you have become jobless. Some of you, it's a point of no return. You're not going to get employed again. This is my advice. When you get opportunity to start all over again, think of your God as personal. Don't rush with the little you have to these so-called gangsters in the pews promising miracle, prosperity, multiplication, healing. If they heal themselves during COVID, they're not going to perform any miracle after COVID. They pleaded to the president to have them opened. They never pleaded to God to have them opened. Then they started putting Museveni on pistol. If you don't open us, we are not going to campaign for you. Then alternatively, they said, okay, let me open so that you can also work. It is actually working. They are working when you go there with your ignorance. So sober up this time. If you want to go and worship, no problem. But don't be taken advantage of. God will not bless you because you pray for so much or you are prayed for so much. The principle of God is very clear in Deuteronomy chapter 28. If you obey my commandments, these blessings will follow you. In the city, in the village, in your garden, in your flock, in your work. And he said, I'll bless the fruit of your hands. I'll bless the work of your hands. Which means God does not bless us because we pray so much, because we fast so much, because they pray for us so much, because we sleep in night prayers, we go to mountains to seek for him, they pray for us, we spend a lot of time in places of worship. He only blesses us when we venture out, do something, touch something, and then he blesses us. That's what we call faith. You test God. Lord, let me start my poultry farm. Let me go to my farm. Let me go to my shop. Let me go to my work. Let me go to my chamber. Lord, it's you who knows how it's going to.
Your message on counterfeits.
God said, for what will it profit man if you ate the whole world but lost your life? My father died on the 19th of June this year. We buried him on the 21st. He had 2 jaggery mills in his heydays. He had a shop, Mutu Sons, on Ginger Road in his heydays. He built a very good house in Lubaga. When he died, I remember this very, very well. From Entebbe mortuary to Mulago mortuary. From Mulago mortuary to Kasana burial ground. Never was he taken to his home. Never was he taken to his mansion. And of all the property he had, he took nothing, nothing, and nothing. Let us have some degree of satisfaction. Let us have some degree of thanking God for the little we have. If you have, don't crave for too much. Don't crave for what you cannot even go with. After all, you come with nothing into this world and you live with nothing. Let the little you have be contented with the little you have. Apostle Paul said, I've learned what it is to eat and I'm satisfied. I've also learned what it is to be hungry. I know what it is to have plenty, and I've known what it means to have nothing. In all things, I've learned to be contented. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That is Philippians chapter 4. Now, you view out there, why are you so greedy? Why do you counterfeit? Why do you rob? Don't you know that if you steal drugs, people are going to die when they miss them? Don't you know that if you add water to feed, you are creating aflatoxins? If you put sand, you are killing the birds. Don't you know that if you get an expired drug, remove the label that shows the expiry, relabel it, extend the life, don't you know that you are actually giving that person poison? Don't you know that you are harming that life? If you bring in counterfeited drugs and we give them to animals, don't you know that you are creating the problem of antibiotic resistance? If you bring in human drugs knowing they cannot heal, don't you know that you are creating the problem of antibiotic resistance? Have a heart, not of an animal. Have the heart of man. And the heart of man is supposed to be the heart of God. For you were created in God's image. You should live as God's example. God is loving, love. God is generous, be generous. God is kind, be kind. God is compassionate, be compassionate. God is truthful, be truthful, be honest. God treasures integrity. Be a person of integrity. Be a man or woman of your word.
Pastor,
let us value human life. Let us treasure it. And in so doing, let us ensure that we have the right products on market. We have the quality products on market. We stop that greed that prompts us, that pushes us to counterfeit, to copy and paste, to relabel, to extend the shelf life when it is actually expired. We are actually endangering not only animal life but human life, and we are ruining and killing the
those
economy.
are the words of Pastor Moses Solomon.
I wish you the best in this new year. Even if you have little, be contented. Struggle with your hands. God is honest, God is faithful, God is gracious. I am sure He'll not forget you. No matter how much you've cried, let me pray that He wipes away your tears. And even if things are not going the way you want, take heart. There are many others who are doing much worse off than you do. If you lost, don't lose heart. Don't kill yourself.
Those are the words of our
God will help
special
you
guest of the month,
guide you.
Pastor Moses Male. These people of God, when they speak, they never cease to end, and we would have loved to hear more and more.
It's been a pleasure.
You. This is a bye-bye to 2021. We are ushering in a new year. We're looking forward to 2022. We hope and pray that it will be a year of more prosperity. We hope that it will be a counterfeit-free year for everybody, wherever they are. So, as always, we would like
let
to
us
thank...
team up.
Yes.
It's important. Let us all Ugandans team up and have one voice and have concerted effort against every sort of counterfeiting, every sort of adulterating, every sort of falsehood.
Yes.
So that our country can be a better place to live in.
A big thank you to all those who have been with us in the year 2021. Your support has been recognized. We acknowledge it. Thank you for tuning in every Friday. Thank you for sharing, putting those reminders. Thank you for subscribing. Our subscription has grown by leaps and bounds. We're looking better and to better days actually in 2022. We shall be continuing with this programming because the fight against counterfeits never ceases. It's a fight for everyone. Our duty here is to give you awareness, because we believe that an informed consumer is an empowered consumer. Together we can fight the counterfeits Remember, don't be fake, buy and sell genuine always.